there's so many things I think that we really, the government and as independent members of parliament, have to ensure that we keep the government of the day accountable. So because with their majority, they can push legislations through without any check and balances, and that is going to be a concern. And I will do my best as the independent voice here in Western Sydney to ensure that they keep to their words, but also to be very responsible managing the economy and managing and delivering for our community.
How are you going to do that? It's like the last parliament where the government didn't need to horse trade with you in the House. Now they only need to horse trade with the Greens in the Senate. And I agree with you. A strong government is buoyed by a strong opposition. The coalitions are diminished in its numbers. The crossbench isn't a party. You have very different views to some of the Teals, for example. So how does that work? Do you have faith that the independents, including yourself, can actually do what you say you're going to do, which is hold the government to account? How does that happen when they don't need you?
Oh, look, they did not need us at the last, parliament. But can I assure you that me constantly standing in that house and talking about the cost of living, I believe definitely pushed them to look at the last 12 months cost of living issues. I raised the HEX indexation, long before, anybody did. I raised the issue of the statutory tax cuts, and there are many issues that I raised. And, they, of course, the government will say that we did that, which is fine. But I think absolutely, the power of one, basically the voice of reason, and ensuring that we will I hope that other independents will feel the same, that we can't just give a free rein to the government and not question everything that they do. We have to question. And if the Senate is between Labor and the Greens, that is going to be a real concern, I think, for our economy and for our society if there is no check and balances in place. And I will do what I can in my ability as the voice of Western and South Western Sydney to call those things out and to ensure that they do deliver, they do hold their words, and they make sure that they are responsible in the management of our economy and supporting small business. Because small business, for me, a lot of people have come up to me during the election and even now, they're struggling as a small business here. And we, especially from those from culturally and linguistic diverse backgrounds. So I will ensure that, and I congratulated, Anne Ali, the new Minister for Small Business, and I did reach out and I said, look, there's so many things that we need to do to ensure that small business can thrive, can employ people, and can be, ensure that we are the small business, the economic engine of our economy, not just locally, but nationally as well. We must ensure that they survive through many of the, changes that the government have pushed through.
What do you make of the factional infighting within Labor at the moment? Because I look at your area there in Western Sydney and how so much focus was on it during the campaign. Obviously, Chris Bowen wasn't a feature of the campaign. He seemed to be quite a divisive figure within his electorate, although the results show that he has been returned with the majority that he largely held last time. But also, Ed Husic not being in cabinet, because of factional reasons, him of course calling Richard Marles a factional assassin. What do you think about that?
Oh, party politics is all about factions at the end of the day. And I think at the end of the day, the party put the party of politics ahead of the community and the needs of the people. And, Ed Husic, would have been a great, obviously, minister because he did as part of the whole Reconstruction Fund, and he has that experience there, and he represents Western Sydney. It's a shame that, hey, that's the decision of the Prime Minister, of the factions of the Labor Party. At the end of the day, all I can ask any party leaders is to ensure that the community is not left behind. And that's what the Prime Minister said, no one's going to be left behind. So let's see if he holds true to his word that no one will be left behind, and that factional politics should not be considered. But I'm not part of a party, and that's the great thing, because you don't, your allegiance is to the people. For me, the people of Fowler and
Yeah.
southwestern Sydney, and that's the problem with party politics. At the end of the day, it's the factions that control, and the silent, the faces, of the predominantly men who are making the decisions. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to ask you a final question, because I thought it was interesting that Andrew Hastie, when talking to Pete Stefanovic, my colleague this morning, talked about defence policy not being released early enough. That was a problem. And he was asked quite pointedly whether he was friendly, whether he got along with Peter Dutton. He said, "Oh, we've got a good professional relationship," and then went on to say, "We're not really in Parliament to make friends." And that really says it all. So there is a bit of character assassination going on. I wonder what your view of that was, and your personal dealings with Peter Dutton, because one of the first things he did was go out to Western Sydney. I remember that massive school event that you did with him.
Yeah. Well, the Assyrian New Year, I think it was. I think he came out. Look, as a person, I think that Peter Dutton was a really in dealing, in speaking to him, a kind and considerate person. How the media and how major parties, the Labor turn it around to create an image, is really the media's responsibility. They've created an image of a person, and obviously. Peter was a more reserved person, and that's just a personality thing. But I think politics is always, isn't it? Success has many fathers, and failures is you get people
And
start to
often.
stomp people on the head, and I think that kind of value system needs to be reflected, because it reflects on you as a member, as a politician, that you then put somebody down when they're already cut down. I think that's not nice. I think that you need to acknowledge, the work, whoever it be, that have tried to put in. It's at a time of, it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And I think people were thinking, we seem to know, the Prime Minister more than, and the image that Peter Dutton has been portrayed in the media is just like, for those who don't know him personally, it was like, oh gosh. And the instability, the uncertainty of things. And I think, that's why people probably did what they did. In my electorate, as I said, people were saying they were, struggling with cost of living.
Yep.
They did not trust, the Prime Minister. And obviously the result kind of, I am an independent and still representing this community. So, and obviously that came true. So I think the other factor around campaigning or representing is you need to stay connected to the issues of the community. And it's hard work. As an independent, I know how hard it is to continue to maintain that connection, to listen to people so that you represent them in the federal parliament. So that while the Labor Party might have a great moment at the time at the moment, you've got majority of seats, but don't take anything for granted. And it goes in waves and swings. So people will probably realise the costs and the pains of it in the next 3 years, and we'll see what the next election brings.
We will. It feels like it'll roll around pretty quickly at this point, Dai. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.